Hey, ladies and gentlemen, today is Tuesday, October 6th, and I'm here today to give you a little pre-recorded view of what we're doing. And today, during our synchronous time, I will give you guys an opportunity to ask questions as well as remain live if you have any questions at all during today's asynchronous applied learning. So for today, I want to make sure that the first thing you do is head over to Google Classroom and answer that question of the day, which relates to homeostasis, which is what we covered last time. You guys had a POGL that you worked on last time, so you might think about referencing that POGL regarding homeostasis to kind of get your brains going. Now, last class I was not live with you. You had Mrs. Van Vleck, so hopefully if you had any questions, she was able to answer them. I do know that the video for homeostasis was not approved for MSD users. I did go back and approve that homeostasis video, so you could go back and watch that if you want. That's on last class's assignment post. So just to bring us back to last time, we've been talking so far this unit about diabetes and homeostasis. So just a quick review about diabetes and homeostasis. Let's start with this. There are several types of diabetes. The one that we are focusing on in this unit is type 2. And type 2 diabetes is a complex disease that involves an imbalance of glucose. Now, type 2 diabetes has a lot to do with the individual choices of someone. So, for example, someone's diet choices or exercise choices definitely have a play into type 2 diabetes. There are biological factors as well. So definitely some people are more susceptible to type 2 diabetes. But let's think about what is glucose? How does the body balance glucose? That's kind of what we're starting on today. We're going to look at how the body regulates glucose levels with the endocrine system, basically the use of hormones, insulin, and glucagon. We want to think about type 2 diabetes throughout this unit. Is it a disease that's caused by choices? So that would be nurture. Or are there factors in type 2 diabetes that are nature or biological genetic factors? So just as a quick overview, type 2 diabetes is a long-term high glucose levels. So for example, someone who has sustained high levels of glucose over a long period of time. So either that person's consuming a lot of glucose throughout the day, several days, months, years in a row, or they're eating maybe normal levels of glucose, but the body isn't using those that glucose for exercise or things like that. There is a healthy range of glucose in the bloodstream. I don't remember that exact number. It was on your POGL. It was like 120 milligrams per milliliter or something like that. Don't quote me on that number, but it's on your POGL. It's talking about that set point of glucose in your body that's healthy. And if the body goes outside that healthy range, if there's too much glucose, that means the body is out of homeostasis. And so our focus so far is how do we maintain this homeostasis and why is it so important? So for today's learning, we're going to continue learning about how the body regulates blood sugar, and we're going to dive deeply into two body systems. So we're going to be looking at today the circulatory system and the endocrine system. So I'm going to pop over to Google Classroom and show you what those assignments look like, and then I'll come back over here and give you a quick overview. So for today's assignments, you'll notice that I put everything under week 4. I'm going to start organizing our assignments by week rather than by day. It just seemed like by day was getting pretty overwhelming. So for today's assignments, we are looking starting at assignment 2 through 4. So assignment 2 is a body systems graphic organizer. You're going to want to have this open perhaps while you're listening to me speak on the body systems, or maybe you're filling it out as you do your readings. So you're filling out the areas in green. We're going to be talking about the digestive system, endocrine system, respiratory system, and circulatory system. And what you're going to be doing is filling out the green parts as we go. So for example, if we're learning about the digestive system here in this green box, you would type the structures of the digestive system. So the names of the organs, vessels, etc. Over here, you would type what is the function of that system. So if we're talking about the digestive system, you would type here, the function of the digestive system is to break down food into molecules that our body can use. So essentially, you want to come up with a short, concise function statement for each of these. Now today, we're going to be doing endocrine and circulatory. So that's the two readings we're focusing on, as well as what I'm speaking to you about today. Back on Google Classroom, after I'm done speaking to you, you have two other reading assignments. They're both from CK12. One is on the endocrine system and one is on the circulatory system or the heart. So, what is the circulatory system? We want to think about this as it relates once again to diabetes. And so we think about the circulatory system, its job is transport. And so if we're thinking about diabetes, we're thinking about transporting sugar to where it needs to go. So when we eat sugar, that glucose goes into our bloodstream. That bloodstream carries that sugar to every cell in our body through a complicated system of vessels. So you guys know probably the heart is our pump for our circulatory system. So we could talk about the heart action of squeezing oxygenated blood out of the heart. And as oxygenated blood or oxygen-rich blood leaves the heart, oxygen-deficient blood enters the heart so that it can be sent to the lungs. You could look more into detail about the heart. It's an amazing, beautiful structure. I highly recommend diving deeply into looking at the heart function if you have time. The heart pumps blood out to various vessels in the body. Now, any vessel in the body that carries oxygenated blood, that would be an artery. So arteries carry blood that is rich in things that cells need. Then, once those arteries take that blood to every place in the body through tiny little itty bitty teeny tiny capillaries, then the body has to bring back that used up blood, the blood that has been, the glucose has been taken out, the oxygen's been taken out, and needs to take that blood back to the heart. Now, as it takes deoxygenated blood and nutrient deficient blood back to the heart, it's also carrying with it waste. So the circulatory system is essential for carrying waste from cells. Cells, as they eat up sugar, basically have waste that comes out. Think about like cell poop. That cell poop goes into the bloodstream carries it out so that the body can process it and get it out. Same with oxygen. When cells take in oxygen, they give out CO2 as a waste product. And so the circulatory system grabs up that CO2, takes that CO2 back out towards the lungs, and the lungs can push that CO2 out of the body. So that's a very basic overview of the circulatory system. You will read about that more in today's CK12. Then the endocrine system. If we're thinking about diabetes, the endocrine system is responsible for making those two hormones, insulin and glucagon. And those two hormones help to control the levels of glucose in the body. And so if insulin is released from a gland, that insulin enters the bloodstream and it notifies cells. It's like a messenger to cells that says, hey, we need to get this blood lower in glucose. And so insulin's responsible for getting that sugar out of the bloodstream and stored for later use. The nice thing about having extra blood sugar for a lot of us is if we have too much, the body can take that blood sugar out and store it for later. It's when we don't have any more storage sites, or if the body's not working fast enough to remove the sugar, that's when homeostasis is disrupted. That's when it's a problem. So hormones are made in glands throughout the body. You're going to learn more about those in your reading today. There are lots of glands. Each gland has a specific function and produced a specific hormone. Hormones control all kinds of things in our body. Hormones control our moods. Hormones can control our growth and development. Hormones control our metabolism, how often or frequently we need to eat. And specifically, hormones also control reproduction. So you guys are going to learn that more about that in your CK12 reading as well. I'm going to go back to Google Classroom, I think. It's giving me the spinny wheel. There we go. So after today's sign off, you're going to go ahead and go over 2 CK12 lessons today. Make sure that you read those thoroughly. And as you read, you fill out that graphic organizer. Make sure as well that when you're done with the reading, you do the practice questions at the end and turn in. You've got to get 10 adaptive practice questions correct to get credit. So finish those 10 adaptive practice questions, turn that in so that you can receive your 2 points of required daily practice. Finally, our little exit, our asynchronous to do, here's what we're doing. You again, answering the question on Google Classroom. It's about homeostasis. Complete the 2 CK12 readings about heart and endocrine glands, and then complete the graphic organizer for endocrine system. If you have any late work as well, that would be a great opportunity for you to go back and do anything that you may be missing for this unit. So that would be at this point, the POGL or the evidence-based claim. I'm going to sign out now, you guys. I will see you during synchronous time as well. If you have any questions about this work, don't forget to email me. All right. I love you guys. Bye.